Okay, go ahead. Next day, he goes back into his office. He goes to his computer, makes up a scientist. Every adjustment's a miracle. Puts a frame around it, sits in his office. I said, every adjustment is a miracle. Do not minimize anything you do. The goal of an adjustment is to bring the physiology into a greater state of presence at this moment in time, to allow the nervous system the capability to organize itself in its highest level, to allow it to learn from its life experiences and come into a greater state of presence and honor this moment life experience. There's so many different techniques that we have, and every technique has got its perception, its idea of what right is. Every technique is a guess. Every technical mode is our best guess of how we can serve and honor another human being. But I'm going to tell you, my experience, I can only tell you this from my heart, that if when you're delivering an adjustment on the table, you feel like you know more than that body, you have a lesson to learn. It is a miracle what happens when we put a force into that system. And we have no idea, and don't minimize, what the physiology is capable of. You don't know. And it's the most honoring thing you can do. Like, I don't know! But your body does. And what do you have more faith in? A bunch of textbook knowledge? Research you've done? Things that have happened in a laboratory? Or sitting back in the splendor and the wonder of what life has the capability of creating? How do you know the love between a mother and a child? Is there any research? Any quantified data? Is there evidence-based knowledge that can describe the power that a mother's love has for her child, her baby? No. You can't quantify that. It's brilliance. It's the biggest wow that there is. Don't minimize what an adjustment is. There are chiropractors who feel as though, I gotta know the rehab stuff, and I gotta do the supplementation, and the nutrition, and the this. You know what? There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. But can you imagine what kind of impact could we make upon the world if every human being could look at their body and say, wow, neat stuff. Wow, what my liver's doing right now. You know what my liver's doing right now? No, I don't. Neither do you. It's a miracle. But if people view their bodies as a sacred temple of a miracle, would they take care of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would they want to keep their spine well adjusted? Yeah. Might they want to exercise more? Of course. What's the right exercise to do? I don't know. Oh, I hate to exercise. Then why are you going to do something you hate? You with me? Well, I used to give exercises to people. Do this, get a cervical curve back. I was an engineer, it's going to get curves right. And I hate doing exercises. So as much as they're doing the exercise because they think it's right, there's a part of them that hates it. So I'm allowing that state to exist in their physiology. How is that helping somebody? But if somebody says, I want to do something to improve my life, awesome. Let's talk about some exercises you might want to consider doing. When somebody asks us a question, rather than you being the expert, ask them back the question, what do you think? What feels right to you? You all have this incredible intelligence inside of you. Every patient has that intelligence inside of them. If we can empower people to recognize that they're the healer, they're the guru, they're the magician, they're the miracle. That's the power that we have to change the planet. Yes, I firmly believe we need to have everybody adjusted, but I believe that the world needs a hell of a lot more than that. There's a lot of love and compassion. And if that love can start with how they view themselves. The problem is that lots of people don't love themselves. One of the worst interferences that can exist. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not healthy enough. You ever do that to yourself? I bet you if I talk to you the way you talk to yourself, you probably hate me. Because what do? So often we look in the mirror, oh man, that hairline receding. Oh, you got a few extra pounds on yourself. Oh, you're getting out of shape, boy. You try to be 18 again. You with me? Why do we do that to ourselves? Oh, my hair doesn't look right. Oh, I got a blemish on my nose. Oh, I'm horrible at adjusting. You're phenomenal. You do not help anybody by living in the state of feeling that you are less. I'm not saying be egotistical, uncaring, unkind. I am saying honor who you be. As in that same space, we want to honor who patients be. They are not here to fit our expectations. We are here to support them and love them along their journey. It's not our job to tell anybody what to do, but to inspire them. Look at the word inspire. Everybody take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inspire. In spirit. Spirit is what animates life in our bodies. It's that spirit that we bring to a life expression through the physiology by allowing the spine to have less interference. While we ever see that interference. It's a miracle. Expect a miracle. With everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you teach. Stephen Porges, in 1974, I think it was, came up. He was a researcher, scientist, neuroscientist, and he proposed a slightly different understanding, perspective of the autonomic system. He developed the ventral vagal theory. Any of you heard of this? What we learn in school is that the autonomic system is a reciprocal system. That when sympathetics go up, the parasympathetics go down. When the parasympathetics go up, the sympathetics go down. And that the parasympathetics was mediated primarily through the vagus nerve. And as Porges was doing his work and observations of people and his understanding of anatomy and neurophysiology, he viewed that the vagal system has two major branches to it. The dorsal branch, which is unmyelinated, and the ventral branch, which is myelinated. And he says, rather than viewing the sympathetics are not at all impacted by the vagal system, he didn't view it as a reciprocal system as much as a tandem system. That the reptilian aspects of our neurology live within the dorsal aspects of the vagal nerve. And that's in areas of overwhelm, of isolation, of withdrawal, usually mediated through something that you feel extremely threatening to your life. When the turtle locks up in their shell, when an animal plays dead. You with me? That exists inside of our physiology, and that's exactly what we do. When we are hit with tremendous amounts of overwhelm, there's a part of us that shuts down. People who've been raped, dishonored in their lives, activates that system. Only when that system comes into ease do we really have an ability to have a sympathetic response, the fight or flight response, the excitatory response. And only when that system comes into ease are we fully able to activate what he calls the ventral vagal system, the social vagal system, to engage in communication, community, bonding, intimacy. That is the aspect that is engaged in the ventral vagal system. That as much as we can see reciprocal involvement of the autonomics, there's a component of it that's truly tandem. That first, the dorsal vagal has to be satisfied, come into ease, to allow a sympathetic response. And once that comes into ease, it allows for community and bonding to occur. There's an intimate connection that we make as people when the neurology comes into a state of ease. I believe that as we give our spinal adjustments and allow our neurology to come into a greater degree of presence in this moment, in its aliveness in the now, that allows the mediation of the vagus nerve to also come into ease and allows the building of bonding, relationships, community, compassion, understanding. BJ talked about his big idea. Most of you have heard his little poem, A Slip on the Sidewalk. It's a small thing. Happens to millions. Fall off a ladder is a small thing. Happens to millions. That fall or slip might cause a subluxation. That's a small thing. It affects the mental impulse flow between the brain and the body. That's a big thing to that person. Then comes a man, a chiropractor, or a woman, and gives a spinal adjustment. That adjustment is a small thing. That adjustment to the subluxation allows a better flow of mental impulses. That's a big thing to that person. Multiply that person by 1 million, you affect the well-being of the city. By tens of millions, you affect the well-being of the planet. I believe BJ tapped into what Porges is finding out in his research aligns to that idea of healing our planet. Don't think that what you do is a small thing. It's a huge thing. An ability to allow the neurology to better express itself within the physiology, to bring that adaptation process, an ability of organizing itself to its highest vibration. We can understand the words and the song we love, but I don't think we've come even close to fully appreciating its magnitude. I remember being in school and chiropractors say, chiropractic will make the earth shift on its axis. And I say, he's crazy. The earth ain't going to shift on its axis. But metaphorically, maybe it will. I believe that we are an emerging population. Chiropractic is a beautiful service, but we aren't alone. I believe we are a big part of shifting the consciousness and the healthcare culture of what possibilities can exist as we build well-being rather than trying to treat pathology. As we look at people as healing organisms that have a tremendous capability of adaptation, recreation of themselves, reorganizing themselves, that we can offer a service that allows that to happen. In the healthcare community, we are the leaders in that. Don't minimize that. Don't feel as though you have to sell out to fit in the paradigm of what somebody else says you're supposed to do, of being a limited medical specialty. Don't sell out to the fact that that's what you have to do for insurance companies. Hell, we've been in practice 35 years. Over 85% of our practice outside their first year of care. We have almost